The forest was silent under the pale light of the rising moon. Silver rays spilled through the ancient trees, painting the ground with shifting shadows. Lyra walked carefully, her boots crunching softly on fallen leaves. She did not know why she had come here, only that something in the forest called her, a whisper in the wind, a tug in her chest, something she could not ignore. The villagers spoke of the ruins deeper in the forest, of a chained wolf that no one dared approach. Some said it was a monster, others said it was cursed. But Lyra had always been drawn to the stories that others feared. Fear, she believed, was only a measure of what was worth knowing. The ruins appeared like a dream through the fog. Crumbling stone towers leaned toward each other as if sharing secrets. Vines climbed the walls, twisting like silver serpents in the moonlight. And there, in the center of the ruins, she saw it. The wolf. It was enormous, larger than any creature she had ever seen. Its fur shone like black silk under the moon, eyes burning amber with an intensity that made her heart ache. Silver chains bound it, fastened to stone pillars. Each chain glimmered, etched with strange runes that pulsed faintly with light. The wolf's breath came heavy, misting in the cold air. It did not growl or roar. Instead, it stared at her, still and regal, as if it were waiting for something. Lyra's hand trembled as she reached out. "Are you trapped?" she whispered. The wind carried her words, but the wolf did not move. It only stared. Her instincts screamed to turn away, but curiosity and something deeper, something unnameable, pulled her closer. The chains were cold under her fingers. They were heavy, unnatural, bound by magic older than the oldest trees. Lyra could feel a strange energy thrumming through them, a pulse that seemed almost alive. She had always felt connected to the world in ways others did not, but this was different. This presence was powerful, urgent, almost human. Her fingers brushed the runes on the chain. The moment she touched them, a sharp tingle ran up her arm. She gasped, stepping back, but something in the wolf's eyes pleaded with her. It was not an animal looking for food or safety. It was something else. Something trapped and waiting for freedom. "Do you want me to?" she began, but the words faltered. She did not know what she could do. Chains of silver were not easily broken. Yet her hands moved as if guided by some invisible force. The runes glowed brighter under her touch. The chains rattled, and the wolf's deep, resonant growl vibrated through the ruins. Then, with a sound like breaking thunder, the chains snapped. Silver links flew across the stones, and the wolf stepped forward, each movement fluid, graceful and terrifying. Lyra stumbled backward, her heart hammering in her chest. The wolf stopped a few feet away, its eyes never leaving hers. Then, in a shimmer of moonlight and shadow, the creature changed. Its body elongated, reshaped, muscles tightening and stretching. Fur melted into skin, paws transformed into strong hands, and the head that had been wolf now became a man's. A man tall and dark, with sharp features and eyes that burned like molten amber. His presence was overwhelming, a mix of power, danger, and something that made Lyra's breath catch. "Who? What are you?" she whispered. Her voice was barely audible, but he heard. "I am Kalen," he said, his voice low and commanding, yet smooth as silk. "Alpha King. And you have freed me." Lyra felt a shiver run through her body. His gaze was intense, filled with something that made her feel seen in a way she had never been seen before. She had expected a beast, but this was something far more dangerous, and yet she did not feel fear, not fully. Kalen studied her, and then a faint smile curved his lips. "You are brave, or foolish. Perhaps both." "Few dare touch the chains?" Lyra's pulse quickened. "I didn't mean, I felt like I had to." He tilted his head, amber eyes studying her. Most would have fled. Most would have been crushed by fear. His voice carried a weight of centuries, of battles fought, of betrayals endured. "You did not. I couldn't leave you like that," she admitted. Her own words surprised her. Why had she cared so much? It was just a wolf. Or at least she had thought it was. Kalen's expression softened just slightly, enough for her to see a flicker of something human behind the power and ferocity. Few humans care for a wolf, or a king trapped by a curse. The forest seemed to hold its breath. The ruins, the chains, the broken stones, they all felt alive with energy. Something ancient and powerful was awake now, awakened by her hands, by her choice. Kalen stepped closer, and Lyra instinctively stepped back, though she could not look away. He was overwhelming, height, strength, presence, and yet there was something in the way he regarded her that made her feel almost Safe, you should leave, he said finally, his voice sharp now. This is no place for someone like you. Lyra shook her head, though her chest felt tight with a mixture of fear and fascination. I can't, I don't know why, but I can't. Kaelin's eyes narrowed. You do not yet understand what you have done. By freeing me, you have placed yourself in a world of shadows and power you cannot imagine. My enemies, they will come for me. And for you? Lyra's heart skipped a beat. She had felt danger before, creeping along the edges of her life, but this was different, real, immediate, and deadly. Yet even knowing this, she did not turn away. Kaelin studied her again, then spoke almost to himself. Perhaps it is fate that brought you here. Perhaps the moon chose you. Few have ever stood before me and not trembled. Lyra's lips parted, unsure what to say. She felt both terrified and inexplicably drawn to him. There was a pull she could not explain, something deeper than curiosity or courage. It was as if the forest itself had led her to this moment. The first howl of the night echoed from the forest beyond the ruins. Not the howl of the wolf she had freed, but of others. Hunters. Shadows that moved in the dark. Creatures attuned to Kaelin's presence. They were coming. Kaelin's gaze snapped toward the sound, sharp and alert. His body tensed, and the human guise seemed to ripple with latent power, the faint shimmer of his wolf form barely visible beneath his skin. You should run, he said, voice low but commanding. Now. Lyra's instinct was to obey, but another part of her, the part that had touched the chains that had broken them, stood firm. I'm not leaving you. Kaelin's eyes softened just for a heartbeat before darkening with warning. Then prepare yourself, he said. The world you thought you knew is gone, and it will not be gentle. From the shadows of the trees, faint movements began, shapes silent and swift emerging from the darkness. Lyra's heart raced. She had stepped into something older than the forest itself, a world of power and danger, of kings, curses, and creatures that walked between human and beast. And in the center of it all stood Kaelin, the wolf she had freed, the man she had never imagined, and the king she had dared to touch. As the shadows crept closer, Kaelin placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. Not in threat, but in protection. The warmth of it sent a thrill through her, even as the cold night air and approaching danger made her shiver. Hold close to me, he whispered, or we will be torn apart before your eyes can understand. Lyra nodded, though her heart hammered in her chest. She could feel the pulse of magic, power, and life in him, a rhythm that matched her own. For the first time, she understood that this was no ordinary night. This was the night her life had changed forever. The howl rose again, closer now. The shadows formed shapes of eyes and teeth, hunting and relentless. Kaelin's stance shifted, muscles coiling like a spring, ready to strike, ready to protect. And Lyra realized, with a mixture of fear and awe, that she did not want to run. She wanted to stand here beside him and face whatever this night would bring. The first shadow leapt. The shadows moved like liquid through the forest, silent and deadly. Lyra's breath came fast, her fingers gripping Kaelin's hand. His touch was strong and steady, a tether to safety, and yet it carried a heat that made her pulse quicken. The hunters, creatures neither fully human nor fully beast, emerged from the darkness, eyes glinting with malice, claws scraping the forest floor. Kaelin's stance shifted, muscles coiling beneath his skin. His eyes glowed amber in the moonlight, a wolf's feral essence bubbling just beneath the surface. He growled low in his throat, a sound that reverberated through Lyra's chest. She felt it deep in her bones, an echo of power that was both terrifying and thrilling. Stay behind me, he warned, his voice firm but calm. Do not run. Not yet. Lyra nodded, heart pounding, but she did not move away. She had chosen to be here beside him, and she would not falter now. The first shadow leapt, moving faster than her eyes could follow. Kaelin reacted instantly, a blur of motion. His hand struck with inhuman precision, sending the creature sprawling. Another lunged from the side, and Kaelin spun, catching it by the shoulder and tossing it into a tree with a force that made the trunk shiver. Lyra's eyes widened, but she could not look away. The strength, the speed, the raw power, it was unlike anything she had ever seen. Yet in the midst of his fury, Kaelin's gaze flicked to her for a split second as if to ensure she was safe. That small fleeting concern made her chest ache. One of the hunters moved closer, more cautious now, circling them like a predator assessing its prey. Lyra's instinct screamed at her to run, but she held her ground, remembering Kaelin's words. Then, almost without thinking, she stepped forward and raised her hands. "Stop," she shouted, her voice cutting through the night. The hunter froze, ears twitching. Kaylin's eyes narrowed at her, a mixture of surprise and warning. "Lyra, don't," but she did not retreat. Something deep within her, a force she had never known, surged outward. The hunter hesitated, shaking as if uncertain of its next move. Lyra could feel the air pulse around her, a strange rhythm of energy that seemed tied to the Wolf King beside her. Kaylin's jaw tightened. He had not taught her this. She did not know she had it. And yet, the shadow faltered. It recoiled, unsure, as if her courage alone had shaken its resolve. Kaylin stepped forward, his voice a low growl. "Good," he murmured, almost to himself. "Do not fear. Trust the strength within you." Lyra blinked, astonished. She had not known strength could feel like this. Not just physical, but something deeper, something that came from facing fear and refusing to flee. The remaining hunters hesitated, sensing the shift in power. Kaylin's amber eyes glowed brighter, his form blurring, wolfish energy radiating in waves. The shadows began to retreat, unwilling to face him fully, yet drawn by something they could not understand. Kaylin turned to her, his expression softer now, though still fierce. "You have courage," he said. "More than most humans. Do not underestimate yourself." Lyra swallowed, her chest tight. I didn't know I could." He reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. His fingers were warm, strong, and for a moment the forest and the danger faded. "You are part of this now. Part of me. That is why you were here. That is why the chains chose you." Lyra stared at him, heart pounding. "The chains? They chose me?" Kaylin's gaze softened, the wolf's edge fading just slightly. "They bound me, yes, but they were not just chains of metal. They were chains of fate, of destiny, and they recognized your presence. You have a gift, Lyra, though you do not yet understand it, and now, because of your courage, you are tied to me." Her pulse quickened, a mix of fear and wonder. Tied to him? Not by chains, but by something deeper, something she could not yet name. The forest fell silent once more, the hunters retreating into the shadows. Kaylin's body relaxed slightly, though the wolf within still pulsed beneath the surface. He turned to her fully now, amber eyes searching hers. "You do not have to stay," he said, voice low, almost gentle. "You could leave. Go back to the safety you came from." Lyra shook her head, though the thought of leaving had crossed her mind countless times. "I can't," she said simply. "I don't know why, but I can't leave you." Kaylin studied her, the moonlight glinting off his sharp features. For centuries he had trusted no one, relied on no one, and yet this human, this woman, had stepped into his world without fear, had touched the chains that bound him, had faced danger beside him. She had chosen him, and in that choice she had changed the course of fate itself. He reached out, placing his hand lightly on hers. The warmth of his touch was grounding, yet electric. "Then you will need to learn quickly," he said. "The world you have stepped into is not forgiving. It does not wait for hesitation or doubt. You will need courage, wit, and strength, and most of all, trust. Trust in me and in yourself." Lyra nodded, her hand trembling under his. "I will try." Kaylin's lips curved in a faint, rare smile. "That is all I ask. For now." The ruins seemed to shift around them, shadows lengthening and retreating as if acknowledging the bond that had been formed. The chains, broken and glimmering faintly in the moonlight, lay scattered across the stones. A memory of restraint, of power long suppressed, now dissolved. Suddenly, movement in the trees caught Lyra's eye. Another presence watching, waiting. She felt a chill run down her spine. "Kaylin, someone's there." Kaylin's eyes narrowed and his form blurred, wolfish energy radiating outward. "Hunters," he said, voice low and dangerous. "Or spies. Either way, they are not friendly. We must move." Lyra followed him through the ruins, heart pounding, senses alert. The forest seemed alive with whispers, shadows brushing against her skin, carrying secrets she could almost understand. Kaylin moved with fluid grace, every step confident and controlled, yet his hand remained near her, protective, as if her presence anchored him as much as his strength protected her. They reached the edge of a clearing, where the moonlight poured down in silver pools. Kaylin paused, glancing around, calculating. "We cannot stay," he said. "The hunters will regroup, and the night is not our ally. But there is a place, a refuge. Few know of it, fewer dare approach it. There we can plan, and there you can learn what it means to be tied to me." Lyra felt a mix of fear and anticipation, tied to him, bound by courage, fate, and something more. She did not yet understand, but the thought of learning, of standing beside him, made her chest swell. As they moved, Kalen spoke softly, almost to himself. For centuries I have been alone, cursed, bound, hunted, and now there is you. Courageous, unafraid, alive. Perhaps this is the first dawn I have seen in a lifetime of endless night. Lyra looked up at him, seeing both the man and the wolf, the king and the creature of legend. And you? Do you trust me? She asked quietly. Kalen paused, amber eyes locking with hers. I do, he said finally. More than I have trusted anyone in 100 years. The wind stirred, carrying a whisper of danger through the trees. Lyra's pulse quickened. The forest, the night, the shadows, they were not done with them yet. She could feel it, a pull of unseen forces, watching, waiting, testing. And yet, as she looked at Kalen, she knew one thing with certainty. She would not turn away. She would not flee. Whatever came, she would face it beside him, bound not by chains, but by choice, courage, and an unspoken connection that neither time nor shadow could sever. The first steps toward the hidden refuge were taken, but the forest's dark heart still stirred, and in the distance, unseen eyes followed their every move, waiting for the right moment to strike. Lyra's hand brushed against Kalen's again, a quiet reassurance, a silent promise. Neither spoke, yet their hearts communicated in ways words could not. One bond had formed in the moonlight, one that would shape destinies, break curses, and ignite a fire neither of them could have foreseen. And in the silence of the night, the howl of distant wolves echoed, a haunting chorus that seemed to welcome them, or warn them into a world where courage, love, and power would be tested beyond imagining. The forest grew darker as Kalen and Lyra pressed deeper, every step careful and deliberate. The trees seemed to bend toward them, shadows twisting and curling like living things. Lyra clutched Kalen's arm, feeling the steady pulse of his strength beneath her fingers. The night was heavy with the scent of earth and leaves, but also something sharper, something that made the hairs on her arm stand on end. They're close, Kalen murmured, his voice low, almost a growl. His eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, scanning the trees. The hunters I felt earlier, they are returning. And there is something else, something darker. Lyra swallowed, fear pressing at the edges of her courage. What is it? She asked. Kalen's gaze did not waver. The sorceress. She cursed me long ago. She will not ignore my freedom. And she will come for you as well, because she knows our bond is strong, dangerous for her and even more dangerous for us. Lyra's heart pounded. She had heard legends of Kalen's curse, of the dark magic that had held him captive for centuries, and now she realized she was tied to that same danger. Her own life, her own choices, had drawn her into a world of shadows and power beyond her understanding. Then we have to reach the refuge, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. We can't stay here. Kalen inclined his head, moving silently through the undergrowth. His steps were light, but there was a power in the way he moved, a rhythm that spoke of centuries of experience, of battles fought and survived. Lyra followed, careful not to stumble, every sense alert. The refuge was hidden in a clearing surrounded by dense brambles and thorned vines. Kalen paused at the edge, lowering his body to the ground, eyes scanning the perimeter. We can move no further in open sight, he whispered. I will take you through the hidden path, but you must follow without hesitation. One wrong step, and we will be discovered. Lyra nodded, gripping his hand. Together they slipped through the shadows, moving along a narrow trail that twisted beneath ancient trees. The air grew colder, heavier, carrying a strange metallic tang. Lyra's skin prickled with unease, but Kalen's presence was steady, a shield against the unknown. As they moved, Kalen spoke softly, his voice a mixture of warning and reflection. I was bound for centuries, trapped by chains and magic. I trusted no one. I let nothing touch my heart, and now you have come and everything has changed. I did not expect to feel anything like this again. Lyra glanced at him, caught off guard by the vulnerability in his words. What do you feel? She asked softly. Hope, he admitted, his amber eyes meeting hers. And fear. For centuries I believed freedom would bring only pain. And yet here you are, courageous, unafraid, alive. You make me feel that perhaps life beyond chains is possible. Lyra's chest tightened. His words stirred something deep inside her, a mixture of longing and determination. She had always felt drawn to stories of courage and legends, but living one was different. Facing this power, this danger beside him made her feel alive in a way she had never known. Suddenly, movement flickered in the corner of her eye. Shadows detached themselves from the trees, moving silently, deliberately. Lyra froze. Kalen stiffened beside her, the wolf within stirring beneath his skin. "They've found us," he whispered, voice sharp, low, "and they are no ordinary hunters. The sorceress has sent her minions. They are trained, relentless, and attuned to my power. One mistake and we both suffer." Lyra's pulse quickened, but she refused to back down. "Then we fight," she said, her voice trembling but firm. "Whatever comes, we face it together." Kalen's gaze softened briefly, as if surprised and pleased by her bravery. "You are reckless," he murmured. "But I will not stop you. You have a strength even I did not expect." The shadows leapt suddenly, surrounding them. Creatures with eyes like burning coals, limbs that moved in unnatural ways, claws glinting in the moonlight. Lyra's heart hammered, but Kalen moved with fluid precision. His hands struck, knocked, and redirected, each motion controlled, powerful, terrifying. Yet he was careful, protecting her at every turn. Lyra found herself acting on instinct. When one creature lunged toward her, she stepped aside, grabbing a fallen branch. She swung it instinctively, striking the shadow with surprising force. The creature stumbled back, hissing, then retreated into the darkness. Kalen's amber eyes widened slightly. "You have talent," he said, his voice tight with urgency. "More than most humans. But you must stay alert. They will not give you a chance to strike twice." Lyra's hands trembled, but she held the branch firmly. I can help," she said, determination edging her fear. "I want to help." Kalen nodded, though his expression was unreadable. "Then stay close. Trust your instincts. And trust me." The creatures advanced faster now, a living shadow storm. Kalen moved as a blur, striking and dodging with a grace that made Lyra's head spin. She followed as best she could, swinging the branch when necessary, stepping aside when danger came too close. The fight was chaotic, a dance of shadows and light. Lyra could feel her pulse syncing with Kalen's movements. The rhythm of survival, the unspoken bond growing stronger with each passing moment. She had never felt so alive, so aware of every sense, every heartbeat. Finally, the last of the shadow creatures fell back, retreating into the forest with angry hisses. Kalen stood beside Lyra, breathing heavily, amber eyes glowing faintly. He looked at her, and for the first time there was no command, no warning, only acknowledgement. "You are remarkable," he said quietly. "Few could survive that, let alone fight beside me." Lyra swallowed, chest tight. I didn't know I could, but I wanted to protect you." Kalen's gaze softened, the wolfish edge fading. "And you did. You have courage, strength, and heart. You are tied to me now, Lyra, not by chains but by choice and by what you have shown tonight." Lyra's breath caught. "Tied to you?" He nodded. "Yes, you have chosen to stand beside me, and in doing so you have changed everything. The bond between us, it is not easily broken. You are my Luna now, whether you understand it or not, and I accept it." Lyra's heart raced, a mixture of awe, fear, and something deeper, something like longing. She had stepped into this world thinking she was helping a wolf, a creature of legend, and now she was part of a story far larger than herself, tied to a king who carried centuries of pain and power. But even as she processed his words, a new sense of danger crept over her. The forest was no longer quiet. A cold wind swept through the trees, carrying whispers that felt alive. Lyra's skin pricked. "Kalen, something else is coming." His gaze sharpened, amber eyes glowing brighter. "The sorceress knows I am free," he said. "And she will come for you, for us. We must reach the refuge before she finds us." They moved quickly, moving through the dense forest with Kalen guiding her. Every step carried the weight of destiny, every shadow a potential threat. Yet, despite the fear, Lyra felt a strange thrill, a sense that she was exactly where she was meant to be. As they neared the hidden refuge, Kalen's expression darkened. "The path is treacherous," he warned. "We must be careful. One mistake and the sorceress's magic will consume us both." Lyra nodded, gripping his arm tightly. "I trust you," she said. I want to be here with you." He looked at her, amber eyes softening with something she could not name. "And I trust you," he replied. "You have survived what few could. You are brave, strong, and I cannot protect you if you do not trust me as I trust you." The forest grew thicker, shadows twisting and moving with unnatural speed. The refuge was close, but the danger was still real. Lyra felt a thrill of fear and excitement, knowing that the night was far from over, that the bond she shared with Kaelin would be tested again before dawn. And yet, in that moment walking beside him, she felt alive, more alive than she had ever been, more aware of the world, the night, and the pulse of destiny that carried them forward. The hidden refuge awaited, and with it, secrets, challenges, and a bond that could withstand even the darkness of centuries. The clearing opened before them, a hidden refuge surrounded by thick brambles and ancient trees. Moonlight filtered through the canopy, casting silver patterns on the ground. Kaelin moved with practiced caution, scanning the shadows as he led Lyra forward. Every sense was alert, every movement precise, as if the forest itself whispered warnings to him. "This place has protected my kind for centuries," he murmured. "Few know of it. Fewer dare enter. Here we may catch our breath, but do not believe the danger is gone. It is only delayed." Lyra nodded, her pulse still racing from the encounter with the hunters. Her hands shook slightly, but she forced herself to steady them. The thrill of survival mingled with fear, weaving through her like a thread she could not ignore. "I'm ready," she said softly. "I want to learn to be strong like you." Kaelin's amber eyes softened, though a shadow of worry lingered. "Strength comes at a cost. Courage alone is not enough. You must learn to trust yourself, and me." Lyra swallowed, trying to absorb the weight of his words. "I trust you," she said. The words felt heavier than she expected, binding her to him in ways she could not yet understand. They moved deeper into the refuge, following a path hidden beneath twisted roots and moss-covered stones. The air grew cooler, carrying the scent of damp earth and ancient magic. The trees themselves seemed to lean closer, as if curious or protective, and Lyra felt a strange calm begin to settle over her. Kaelin paused at the center of the clearing, a natural stone circle surrounded by towering oaks. "Here," he said. "We can rest for a moment, but do not let your guard down. This sorceress is cunning. She will send more than hunters next time, and her power. It is unlike anything you have faced." Lyra looked around, taking in the quiet strength of the place. The stone circle felt sacred, ancient, and alive. "It's beautiful," she whispered, "safe, at least for now." Kaelin nodded, though the tension in his body did not ease. "Safe is a fleeting word in our world," he said. "We prepare for the storms before they arrive. That is the only way to survive." Lyra watched him, studying the sharp lines of his face, the intensity in his eyes. She felt drawn to him, not just because of his power, but because of the depth of pain and resilience she sensed beneath the surface. "Kaelin, do you ever forgive yourself?" she asked quietly. He turned to her, eyes flickering with emotion. "Forgive myself?" he repeated. "Centuries of betrayal, chains, exile. I have learned to survive, not forgive. But perhaps I can begin to forgive when I have someone beside me who believes in me." Her heart ached at his words. She had expected a king, a beast, a figure of legend, but what she saw now was a man shaped by centuries of loss and solitude, and she felt a strange urgency to reach him, to offer something he had long forgotten: hope. Before they could speak further, the wind shifted. The trees groaned, shadows twisting unnaturally, and a chill swept through the clearing. Lyra's stomach tightened with dread. "Kaelin, something's coming," she said, voice trembling. Kaelin's eyes sharpened, the wolf's energy surging beneath his skin. "It seems our rest is over," he murmured. His muscles coiled, every movement radiating power. "The sorceress has sensed our presence. She will not wait." From the edge of the clearing, a figure stepped forward, floating slightly above the ground. Her cloak shimmered like smoke, her eyes glowing with dark fire. The sorceress had arrived, and the air itself seemed to shiver in her presence. Kaelin stepped in front of Lyra, body tense, wolf energy radiating outward like a storm about to break. "Stay behind me," he said firmly. "Do not engage unless I command it." Lyra nodded, heart racing, but her resolve did not waver. She had faced hunters, shadows, and the unknown beside him. She would not run now. The sorceress's voice echoed through the clearing, low and melodic, carrying a weight that made the hairs on Lyra's arms stand on end. "Kaelin," she said almost softly, though each word struck like a blade, "you cannot hide from me, and you brought a human into my game. How bold of you." Kaelin's eyes narrowed, amber flames glowing in the moonlight. "I am no longer bound," he said. "And she is not yours to touch." A dark smile curved the sorceress's lips. "We shall see," she said. With a gesture, the shadows around her shifted, forming tendrils that reached toward them, twisting and writhing like living snakes. Lyra felt a chill wash over her, but Kaelin's hand on her arm anchored her. "Focus on me," he said. "Your fear is your enemy, but so is your doubt. Trust your instincts, and trust me." The tendrils surged forward, but Kaelin moved faster, striking with precision and force that sent them recoiling. Lyra stepped forward, instinct guiding her, and pushed her hands into the nearest shadow. It dissolved under her touch as if her courage and presence disrupted its form. Kaelin's gaze flicked to her, a flicker of surprise and approval crossing his features. "You are learning faster than I imagined," he said. "Good, very good." Lyra swallowed, heart racing. I can feel it," she admitted. "Something inside me. Like the chains chose me for more than just freeing you." Kaelin's amber eyes softened, wolf energy coiling beneath the surface. "Yes, the bond between us is more than fate. It carries power. You have always had it, Lyra. You only needed the courage to awaken it." The sorceress hissed, the shadows around her writhing violently. "You will not escape," she warned. "Your bond will not save you. Only despair awaits." Kaelin's hand tightened around Lyra's, pulling her closer. "No," he said fiercely. "We choose hope. We choose courage, and we will not fall to your darkness." Lyra felt her own power rise, a strange warmth coursing through her veins. The fear, the doubt, the uncertainty, all of it sharpened her senses, made her aware of the energy that connected her to Kaelin. Together they radiated strength, a bond forged by trust and courage. The sorceress faltered, momentarily taken aback by their unity. Kaelin's wolf form began to shimmer beneath his human skin, fur bristling with power, teeth flashing in a snarl. Lyra felt the energy pulse through her as well, a rhythm in sync with his, a shared strength neither fully understood but both trusted. With a roar that shook the trees, Kaelin surged forward, striking at the shadows, dispersing them like mist. Lyra followed instinctively, feeling her own power echoing his. Together they formed a wall of light and energy that forced the sorceress to retreat, at least temporarily. Kaelin stood before Lyra, chest heaving, amber eyes glowing. "This is only the beginning," he said. "She will return, stronger, smarter, more dangerous, and we must be ready." Lyra nodded, still catching her breath. "Then we prepare," she said firmly. I want to be ready. For you, for us, for whatever comes." Kaelin's expression softened, a rare smile flickering across his face. "You have changed me, Lyra. For centuries I have known only chains, exile, and betrayal. And now I know what it is to trust, to hope, to fight for someone beside me." Lyra felt a warmth spread through her chest. "And I never thought I would find someone like you. Not in a forest, not in a legend, not in a world so full of shadows." Kaelin reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. His touch was gentle, yet firm, a reminder of his strength and the bond that tied them together. "Then we will face the shadows together," he said. "Always together." The wind shifted again, carrying whispers through the trees. Lyra's skin pricked, sensing that the danger was not fully gone. The sorceress had retreated, but she would return, and next time the threat would be greater. Kaelin's hand tightened around hers. "Whatever comes," he said, voice low and certain, "we will face it, and we will endure." Lyra nodded, feeling a surge of courage. She had faced hunters, shadows, and now the darkness of the sorceress herself. She was tired, yes, but also alive in a way she had never known. And beside Kaelin she felt stronger, braver, ready to face whatever destiny had in store. The forest was quiet again, but the tension lingered, a promise that the night was far from over. Shadows would rise, challenges would come, and the bond between King and Luna would be tested like never before. And yet, Lyra knew, with a certainty that steadied her heart, that they were ready. Together. The night was alive with whispers of dark magic. The refuge, usually serene and protected, trembled beneath the weight of the sorceress's power. Kaelin stood at the center of the stone circle, amber eyes blazing, wolf energy surging from him in waves that made the earth tremble. Lyra clutched his arm, feeling the pulse of his strength through her fingertips, a tether that anchored her to courage in the face of overwhelming darkness. "She's coming for you," Lyra whispered, voice trembling. "We can't let her." "Take you again." Kaelin's jaw tightened, the wolf within stirring uncontrollably. She will not, he growled. Not if I can stop her. Not if you are here with me. The wind shifted violently, carrying a cold, biting chill. Shadows rose from the forest floor, twisting and coiling like living smoke. From the darkness, the sorceress emerged, her eyes burning with a cruel light. Her cloak billowed unnaturally, her presence bending the very air around her. You cannot hide from me, she hissed, voice like silk laced with venom. Your freedom is mine to claim, and the human you foolishly tied to yourself will fall with you. Kaelin moved protectively in front of Lyra, wolf energy flaring outward in a brilliant display of power. Not this time, he said, voice low and fierce. I am free. I am stronger than your chains, and I will not let you harm her or me. Lyra felt fear and exhilaration rise together. She had faced hunters, shadows, and the unknown, but now she was seeing the full force of the sorceress's wrath, and Kaelin's power in response. She gripped his arm tightly. I'm with you, she said, determination in her voice. Whatever happens, I'm with you. Kaelin's gaze softened briefly, then sharpened again as the sorceress raised her hands. Dark energy surged from her, a black storm that twisted the air and seemed to suck the light from the moon. Kaelin growled, a deep, resonant sound that shook the trees, and his form blurred, shifting partially into the wolf he truly was. Lyra felt the energy surge around her, fierce and wild but strangely protective, tethering her to him as if their bond alone could resist the darkness. You are tied to me now. Luna, Kaelin said, his voice a mix of growl and command. And together we will not fall. Lyra nodded, heart racing. She felt something deep inside, a power she had not known she possessed. The courage and strength that had carried her this far rose to the surface, mingling with Kaelin's energy. She realized with a startling clarity that their bond amplified both their strengths, his power and her courage. Working as one, the sorceress hissed and sent another wave of shadows, faster, sharper, more relentless. Kaelin met them head-on, his claws tearing through the darkness, each strike precise and unstoppable. Lyra followed instinctively, raising her hands as energy pulsed from her, striking at the shadows with light and force she did not fully understand. The clash of powers shook the clearing, the trees bending under the strain. Lyra stumbled, but Kaelin's hand caught hers instantly. Do not falter, he said. Trust yourself. Trust us. She took a deep breath, focusing. The fear still lurked at the edges of her mind, but determination surged stronger. Together they formed a circle of energy, pushing back the sorceress's darkness, forcing her to retreat just slightly. You will not defeat me, the sorceress screamed, voice cracking with rage. Her hands flared with dark fire, shadows rising higher, twisting into monstrous forms. Kaelin's wolf form surged fully now, amber eyes blazing like suns. He let out a howl that shook the forest and sent a ripple through the shadows. We will endure, he roared. We will not fall to your darkness. Lyra felt the power of his howl vibrate through her bones. Something inside her clicked into place, the courage, the strength, the bond that tied them together. She raised her hands again, and light radiated from her, mingling with Kaelin's energy in a brilliant, unstoppable force. The shadows shrieked and recoiled, unable to withstand the combined strength of the king and his Luna. The sorceress faltered, eyes wide with disbelief. Impossible, she hissed. How can you? Kaelin moved like a blur, closing the distance between them. His hand extended, amber energy crackling around it. Because we are stronger together, he said, voice low, resolute. Bound not by fear, but by trust. Bound by choice. Lyra felt her own strength flow into him, a rhythm of courage and love, of hope and determination. Together they pushed forward, and with a final surge, Kaelin struck the sorceress's heart of darkness with a blast of energy so bright that it lit the clearing as though the moon had fallen to earth. The sorceress screamed, the shadows collapsing around her, writhing and dissolving into nothingness. She staggered back, her power failing, her presence weakening. Kaelin stood tall, wolf form glowing, energy radiating outward in waves that forced even the trees to bow in acknowledgement. Lyra stumbled slightly, but Kaelin caught her, holding her close. Are you all right? He asked, voice softer now, a mixture of relief and concern. She nodded, breathing hard, heart still racing. Yes, I think so. We did it, together. Kaelin's amber eyes softened, the wolf energy fading slightly. Yes, together, he echoed. He brushed a stray strand of hair from her face, his touch gentle, grounding. You were incredible, Lyra. Braver than I could have imagined. Stronger than you know. Lyra's chest tightened, emotion rising. I couldn't have. Without you, she said. I trusted you, and you trusted me. And somehow, we did it. Kalen's lips curved in a faint, rare smile. The bond between us is more than courage or strength, he said. It is trust, respect, and perhaps something even deeper, something that neither time nor darkness can break. Lyra felt warmth spread through her chest. She had entered this world expecting danger, expecting shadows, expecting a king and a wolf of legend. But what she had found was more: connection, courage, and a bond that defied centuries of pain and isolation. The forest grew quiet again, the echoes of battle fading, leaving only the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. Kalen's wolf energy receded fully, leaving him once again in his human form, though the strength and power remained beneath the surface. You have changed my world, Lyra, he said softly. For centuries I was alone, bound and cursed, but now I see that hope and courage can break even the strongest chains. Lyra reached out, taking his hand in both of hers. And you've changed mine, she said. I came here to help, but you've shown me strength, courage, and something I didn't expect. Love, perhaps, or something like it. Kalen's gaze met hers, amber eyes glimmering in the moonlight. Perhaps, he said softly. We will discover it together. The night is over for now, but our journey, it has only begun. Lyra smiled, feeling a mixture of relief, awe, and longing. She had faced darkness, fought beside a king, and survived. And in doing so, she had forged a bond that neither fear, shadows, nor curses could break. Kalen pulled her close, holding her in the quiet aftermath. Wolf and human, king and Luna, bound by choice and courage. The stars above the forest seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the victory, the bond and the promise of what lay ahead. We will face everything, Kalen said, voice low, but certain. Together. Lyra nodded, heart full. Together, she echoed. The night, once filled with shadows, now felt alive with possibility. Their bond, forged in courage, trust, and love, radiated outward, a light that even the darkest magic could not touch. And as they stood in the heart of the refuge, Lyra knew one thing with certainty. She was no longer alone, and neither was he. The chains had been broken, the curse resisted, and the bond between Wolf King and Luna had been forged. And though the world outside the forest would always carry danger, they had discovered a power stronger than fear, trust, courage, and the unbreakable connection between two souls who had chosen each other. In the quiet of the night, the forest seemed to breathe with them, alive with the promise of new beginnings, a future unbound by darkness, and a love that would endure beyond time itself.